separate investment banking from commercial banking, as the Glass-Steagall Act of 1933 did. But there have to be internal compartments keeping proprietary trading in various markets separate from each other in order to prevent contagion. Some banks that have come to occupy quasi-monopolistic positions may have to be broken up. Finally, the Basel Accords made a mistake when they gave securities held by banks substantially lower risk ratings than regular loans. They ignored the systemic risks attached to concentrated positions in securities. This was an important factor aggravating the crisis. It has to be corrected by raising the risk ratings of securities held by banks. That will probably discourage the securitization of loans. All these measures will reduce the profitability and leverage of banks. This raises an interesting question as to timing. This is not the right time to enact permanent reforms. The financial system and the economy are very far from equilibrium, and they can't be brought back to near equilibrium conditions by a straightforward corrective move. Just as when a car is skidding, you must first turn the wheel in the direction of the skid before you correct the car. What needs to be done in the short term was exactly the opposite of what is needed in the long term. First, the credit that evaporated had to be replaced by using the only source of credit that remained credible, namely the state. That meant increasing the national debt and extending the monetary base. As the economy stabilizes, you must then shrink the monetary base as fast as credit revives. Otherwise, deflation will be replaced by the specter of inflation. We are still in the first phase of this delicate maneuver. The banks are in the process of earning their way out of a hole. To reduce their profitability now would be directly counterproductive. Regulatory reform has to await the second phase, when the money supply needs to be brought under control, and it needs to be carefully phased in so as not to disrupt the recovery. But we can't afford to forget about it. You have seen that my interpretation of financial markets, call it the theory of reflexivity, is very different from the efficient market hypothesis. Strictly speaking, neither theory is falsifiable by Popper's standards. I predicted the bursting of the super bubble in 1998. I was wrong then. So am I right now? And some proponents of the efficient market hypothesis are still defending it in the face of all the evidence. Still, there is a widespread feeling that we need a new paradigm, and I contend that my theory provides a better explanation than the available alternatives. Behavioral economics, which is gaining increased recognition, deals with only one half of reflexivity, the misinterpretations of reality, but doesn't study the pathways by which mispricing can change the fundamentals. I realize that my theory of financial markets is still very rudimentary and needs a lot more development. The pathways by which mispricing can affect the fundamentals need a lot more study. Obviously, I can't do it on my own. So I may have been premature in putting forward my theory as the new paradigm. But the efficient market hypothesis has certainly proved inadequate. That has been the entire edifice of global financial markets that has been erected on the false premise that markets can be left to their own devices, has to be rebuilt from the ground up. And that concludes today's lecture. But I would also want to use this occasion to make an announcement. I have decided to sponsor an Institute for New Economic Thinking, INET for short. It will be a major institution fostering research, workshops, and curricula that will develop an alternative to the prevailing paradigm. I have committed $50 million over 10 years, and I hope others will join. I also hope that reflexivity will be one of the concepts that will be explored, but clearly it should not be the only one. I recognize the potential conflict between being a protagonist and a financial sponsor at the same time. To protect against it, I want to erect a Chinese wall between me and the Institute. To this end, I will extend my financial support through the Central European University, and I will not personally participate in INET. The jury will be expressly instructed to encourage other alternatives besides the theory of reflexivity. The plan is to launch INET at a workshop on the lessons of the financial crisis at King's College, Cambridge, on April 10th and 11th. And I hope that the new economic thinking will find a home here at the CEU. Thank you very much.